Welcome to Envision Prototypes. Today, we're going to be working on a set of factory custom door handles for this 51 Ford. And I'm going to show you, and you in the back row over yonder, how you can take an existing door handle out of an OEM vehicle and mount it. Actually, it's supposed to go this way. That's upside down. It's supposed to go this way. And mount this into a classic car body. Now, most late model cars, such as the one underneath, the INFINITI, use a cable system between the door handle and the latch. You can basically take this handle, stick it anywhere you want on the door, within reason, of course, as long as you don't kink the cables, and that'll operate the latching mechanism without any troubles. We're going to start off with the door handle, and then eventually we'll get to installing the latch. Right now we want to just focus on the exterior and get that all roughed in. In this case, I want the handle to coincide with that feature that we're building into the side of the body. So it'll start off as the handle, and then it'll proceed rearward as a chrome strip. And what we have to do is minimize the size of this piece of sheet metal. It's way too big, and the curvature is wrong. It's much too curved as compared to the 51's body. If we put it up here, we could do it. Probably not. I don't want to disturb that nice highlight up above there. I mentioned that. We're going to take these holes, fill them in. On that custom 44 that we did, we created our own door skins from scratch. And then we took and recessed a pocket, much smaller than this, in behind the handle. And we used a torch and shrinking techniques and stretching techniques. Well, a lot of you guys might not have a set of torches at hand, but you will have a donor handle at hand and a welder. So we'll go ahead and lay everything out, cut the hole out, get this fitted, and weld it up. Okay, now, before we go any further, I've been noticing a few of your eyeballs kind of drifting in that direction to see what's going on in the back of the car. So let's go for a quick walk around, and then we'll get working on this door handle. Today might be one of the very few times you can say to somebody that you'll be able to see through the quarter panel area of a car, straight through. That wheel tub area, created a template, looks kind of like this for both sides, formed it up, shaped it up, stuck it in there. So that's what's going to reinforce the quarter panel from the outside. The outside is going to come in, wrap up underneath here, be a series of spot welds on the underside. We're going to have our hands full forming up all that sheet metal in the back of the car. These aren't too bad. Yes, they're large, and we've been wheeling them up for quite some time to get the right shape, but they're not too bad. As for, oh yeah, by the way, that was going to be the windshield I was going to use to show you how to cut windshields. Unfortunately, we had quite the snow load in the storage area, and well, as you can see, we lost it. So I have to find another windshield. Bear with me on that one. There's not much we can salvage from that. I brought it in, looking at it, thinking it might do a little section or something. It's beyond any form of tutorial session. We still haven't finished the bottom door section there, the welding, nor that area there. We're able to get in from the wheel well area. So that's mostly finished. This up in here, a little too far, and my arms are too short. So unfortunately, we have to do that when the fender comes off. And this door, we'll get that welded up when the door is open. Because as you can see, we've got the door welded shut to maintain a nice gap all the way around. But we're coming along. Everything's moving ahead really well. If you can accept the fact that we have no quarters in this car. That's a heck of a lot of welding. That's almost 8 feet all the way around there. That's gonna be fun, but all in good time. Today, it's door handle day. So let's get working on this one here. So the first thing you want to do is take the paint off this piece, because once you trim it down to where you need to, and you have paint on it, you won't be able to take and weld through that paint to the existing sheet metal on your project. It's not weld through primer, it's paint, and it's going to be a real devil to get through that. So strip it off. And to do that, I'm going to use a paint stripping disc. It's a hard polycarbonate disc that basically is used for rust removal, paint removal, oil stain removal. Seriously? Okay, I have to try that one. And what they say here is to use gloves, hearing protection, eye protection, and a respirator. And finally, I never paid attention to this, make sure your grinding angle is between 15 and 30 degrees. If you try grinding on an edge, you're not going to get very far. So just kind of ease into it at a 16.5-degree angle and you'll be good to go. See how easy that was? Now you could take a grinding disc, an abrasive stone disc, and grind this down, but you're going to thin this sheet metal down to the point where when you go to weld it, it's just going to blow through, and you'll have to go ahead and cut another door handle surround out of another door if you have it, or maybe your neighbor's door, to replace this one. I'm going to remark my lines here just to give us a center line. Center line is important. You don't want this handle to be sitting on an angle. All right, so I've got the door handles from the INFINITI. This is the driver's side handle. It has a little button here as well as a key lock. It also has these wiring harnesses that flow down in through the handle to go to that button there. Now, I'm not going to be using this one to play around with this opening. I don't want to damage anything. This rear door handle is identical in every respect except for the length. Let's take this apart. Basically a back piece here that's held in by a set screw from the end. Your car might be different, your handle might be different. You need to figure out how that works. But essentially what I need to do is take this down, remove the handle, and just utilize this to make sure that we have the proper clearances within the door cavity for this to operate correctly. Now, the edge of the door is here. There is the back edge of the door structure that sits in about here. So we're gonna have to take and mount this just inside that structure. If we go outside, we'll have this screw and this plastic housing sitting too far out, and it's gonna interfere with the door seal. Now, so that I don't flip this around while I'm talking and install it the wrong way around, just mark which is the rear. Let's go this way. Now, first time around, I'm just gonna take and cut off what we don't need, and then we'll creep up to what we do need. Does that make sense? First pass around, I don't really care how it's cut off. Just any way you want. So with these factory handles, I want to lose that big finger recess that sits in behind the handle. It takes away from the appearance. I just want a nice narrow band that starts from the handle and flows back. You can do what you want. If you want that, put it in. Just make your hole bigger and use that whole handle. And we're creeping up on what we need to keep. If I tried cutting it up down to what I needed the very first time, we would start twisting everything around because there's just so much material being removed and moved around. Okay, I think we're just about there. So I went ahead, cut this down, took this paint stripping disc, removed some more of the paint that was inside this cup. And what we need to do is very carefully create a hole in the door. And the way I'm going to approach that is by using my micrometer, line things up to where they need to be. So I'm basically lining up the center line to the center line of the door. Kind of do this. Outline things. Kind of like that. We need to connect the dots a little bit. There's lines going every which way. I want to connect that way and connect this through there. Now, I'm gonna say, oh my gosh, you know, that is so crooked. What are you cutting to? You know, have you lost your mind? No, just bear with me. We could have flipped this upside down like that, but I'm not sure if this distance is the same as this distance because I just cut this out freehand, you know. Most of you guys aren't going to create a template. Some of you guys will, and you know, thumbs up. But in this case, I'm just going to freehand the whole thing, except for the center line. Because you don't want this handle sit like that. Well, you might. If you're doing a rat rod, you know, the airstream flowing off the handle, you never know. Now we could take this piece, after we cut this out, stick it in, weld it up, but we're gonna have a hole down and a hole up where this recess is. So then we take some extra pieces, stick them in, weld it all up, finish it, you know, do all that. Or we do a thing called a fancy bend, F-A-N-C-Y, bend. Put it up there. I'm gonna take and translate this piece onto the door there and onto the door here. And we're not gonna cut these pieces off in terms of a straight line. We're taking cut around them. Cut that hole out just like that, you know, just like that. And then we're taking bend that in and bend that in. When this comes in from behind and we scribe everything to where it needs to, those little wings, they're going to fill those holes up. This is sitting this way. That sits within that recess like that. Got to make sure that we're going the right way around. Like I said, we don't want this handle on backwards. It's going to be weird. If we're doing suicide doors where we had hinges here, handle on the other side, yeah, that would work. No, we're not doing suicide doors. Perhaps on the next one. Okay, I think we have everything we need here. We can start cutting this up. I'm going to use a step bit so I don't cut in and make a square corner with the zip blade after. I think we can deal with that. Now I can take a zip blade and cut that out, or I can use a pair of I really hope I don't mess up. I guess if I do, we could create a door skin. I'm cutting just on the inside of the Sharpie line that we created earlier, because that way we can creep up to the line and not make the hole too big. Custom car building gives you wings. Yeah. I guess that's okay. Center line here, center line here. Line this thing up like so. Wow. Almost as if we planned all this out. That's lined up with the center there. And that's lined up to the center there. We got a little thing going on here, as well as here. Okay. I didn't say this was going to be easy. Just a different approach. Like, we check with the card up above, it'll take you to a video as to how we did the 44 door skin handle recess. It was pretty intense. Okay. What we're striving to achieve here is to have this handle perimeter fit within that hole, so we don't have an overlap, we have a butt weld. That way we can metal finish everything nice. Holy smokes. All right. Now, these doors had all kinds of undercoating on the backside. Kind of like this stuff here. And more of this stuff here. You see, it was all scraped off so that we could work this area. Last thing you want is, when you're welding this, all that tar and whatever burning and smoking up the joint. And then when you go to metal finish it with that tar in place, there'll still be some residue. You can't hammer and dolly it too well. So it's going to be in your way. So best is to clean it off, get rid of it. The other thing I'm going to do is, where this keyhole was, we're going to take and cut off the material there, because I need to extend that channel to butt into the handle. I love a challenge. And speaking of challenges, one thing you're going to run into is the late model cars, the sheet metal is a lot thinner. Yeah, than this stuff here. This is about 19 gauge, and the new stuff, probably 22, maybe a little bit less. I'm thinking 22. So you have to be really careful when you weld it up. It's doable. All right, probably looking at these wings. They're not going to work the way they are right there. We have to take and trim them down a little bit and roll them inside using the hammer and dolly. I'm going to trim them off a little bit now, because I won't be able to get it in later. Okay, it's enough cutting. Let's get the hammer and dolly, roll that in. Now, if you're doing this yourself, just a couple simple dollies and a flat face hammer We call this a shoemaker around here. Should get you done. So basically support the sheet metal from the back side just below the black line. And this is going to be tricky because we have the top in the way a little bit. Start rolling it down. Yeah, it's 19 gauge. Tell by the feel. I'm not left-handed either. This is really awkward. This is the only way I can do it. I can't get my left arm in there. You know, it just doesn't work. I wish I was left-handed. Unless I got a left-handed hammer, maybe that would work. This is impossible. Any tips for a left-handed hammer? Okay. Let's not do that ever again. I'll get somebody else to do the passenger door. Oh. Wow. It doesn't fit. The wings go in too far. Darn. Now what do we do? Flipping the car upside down is out of the question. Cue the suspenseful music. I'd like to drag you guys in, show you how well things are fitting up. It's beautiful. Still have a little bit of hammer and dolly work to do to clean up this area, but I think we're where we need to be. There we are. You've got to hold your tongue just right. I'm going to put a few tacks on this. Just kind of help me hold it in place. And we need to create a little piece here. Extend this channel into the back of that handle. Kind of clean this up in here. And we'll try the handle. Get the handle mounted after we get a couple tacks on it. Okay, 4 tiny tacks just to hold things in place for us. That's lining up well there. Our lines correspond to our witness marks on the door. Door handle time. Get this guy into place. Let's get a handle. I hope this works. The little hamster wheel is going upstairs. All right. It's only 4 tacks, so you kind of have to be very careful when you're sliding things together here. Oop, nope. There we go. Nope. Will third time be the charm? Have I mentioned I'm not left-handed? Ha ha ha. That looks really good. Ah, there. It was binding a little bit, but as you can see, it snaps right into place. So the trick was making sure everything was aligned. Now, I think we are at a stage where everything looks good, the handle looks level, we're not sitting one way or the other. I'm going to make up a little piece, get that into here. You didn't see that, stay there. That's what that screw in the end is for, and we'll get that in after the fact. Yeah, we've got just enough room between that screw on the end and the structure of the door on the inside. I could have moved this out a little bit further, but then we would have had just a tiny little piece of trim in this area. Wouldn't have looked as good. So extend it a little bit more. I'm gonna have to take and blend it into here so that it basically is a continuation of the handle. And I think we're gonna run with that. Well, I don't think we have a choice. It's already done. Gotta weld it up a little more solid, stop all these things from falling out, and then we can actually try it. Ah, that's why. So anyway, give me 32.125 hours. I'll get that all finished up. It's just a matter of fitting everything the final time and welding it, metal finishing it, and then we can go ahead and reassemble everything for the final time. You can see here this corner is a bit sticking up a little bit. This edge of the door has been driven down, collision damage, whatever, age, car's been kicked around. So when I open the door, I'll finish up the end properly. I don't want to weld it in the way it is because once you weld it in crooked, you'll never be able to fix it. Okay, got her all welded up, almost metal finished. There's a little more work back here at the rear edge. Come on. Okay, looking good. She's got to slide back a little bit like that. Handle works. And the non-existent key slot, because it's in this one, not in that one. I'd have to get a screwdriver, take this one apart to get it in. But anyway, as you can see, we have our door handle mounted and it's looking quite nice. Like I said, there's a little more work involved there. And so that this little spot doesn't bother anybody, we're gonna cover it up just like that. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Really appreciate you guys watching. Catch you in the next one.